Hello everyone, 76 Patriot here, and today I want to briefly discuss the fact that Democrats are in quite a bit of internal turmoil, or conflict, if you will, about Biden and the presidency. Now, I made a video kind of similar to this on the prospect of a Biden replacement, I believe last week, and I didn't want to be too repetitive. However, there is just so much news and new stuff coming out on this topic, I really couldn't ignore it. So, of course, this was actually several days ago, on July 7th, we can see. Several top House Democrats say Biden should step aside during leadership call. Now, this is interesting because just about a week and a half ago, there was just one single congressperson, I believe, from Texas that had voiced his support for Biden dropping out. And now we're up to five. Five lawmakers have publicly called for Biden to withdraw from the presidential race. And it's interesting because none of these claim, at least from what I know, to be moderates at all, which is kind of interesting. Then of course there's other people right here. You can see a list of names that have also opposed Biden as the nominee besides these ones. And so that's pretty crazy. The number of lawmakers who explicitly said Biden should not be the nominee was greater than those who spoke up for him to stay. Whoever was on that call, that's pretty interesting in my opinion, because honestly, people are seeing, we are going to lose big in November if Biden is our nominee, because he's only going to keep disintegrating, for lack of a better term, before our very eyes. And the debate really, I think, showed a lot of people in the American public and even Democrats, the sad story of basically a man degenerating. And, this is another fact. They're scared. One of the concerns expressed was that Democrats will lose their chance at the House majority if Biden is the candidate. Absolutely. That's what I'm predicting. I think they'll definitely lose. It'll be relatively thin Republican victory, but absolutely. Same thing with the Senate, too. But then, of course, there's a lot of conflict and kind of internal divisions because somebody's here saying, one of the reps, they shouldn't be going rogue against our own president, and black voters are loyal and will continue to support Biden. Sadly, even though they probably don't know all the disparaging things that he has said about black folks in the past. But regardless, the Democrat Party, which is kind of hilarious when you think about it, they always kind of mock the Republican Party for being so divided and having all these factions. And they really are doing quite a bit of, in quite a bit of confusion right now as to what direction to go regarding a presidential candidate nominee. And this is pretty interesting. Tuesday, this was several days ago, the day of the planned caucus meeting, will be the most consequential day for the president this week. That, of course, happened. And House Democrats meet as Biden's support on Capitol Hill hangs in the balance. This is from today, Tuesday, July 9th. So I was just kind of showing you guys that last one to get us up to speed. This was it, a crucial moment for Joe Biden and their party. And basically, it was not the best for Biden. I mean, sure, some people, he's good, he's our candidate, we're going to support him. But look at this guy. Steve Cohen was asked if Democrats are on the same page and said, we are not even in the same book. Another guy said he has to step down because he can't win. It'll bring the ticket down this time, that fighting spirit, because he won't back down. Biden, after he met with Camp David last week, or quite a while ago, they kind of kept pushing him, stay in the race, and he was reportedly considering whether to stay in or not. And he's really dug his heels in, or at least his handlers have. And, so he's going in all the way. We'll see what happens. But there are some people that actually at least have the brains to realize that they are going to lose not just the presidency, but the House, the Senate, probably governorships, and even state legislatures as a result of down ballot effects. And this is pretty interesting. And, of course, you have legal issues. Some worry that Biden can't be replaced because he's so dug in. Well, that's the problem. And, of course, there's supposed to be Senate Democrats. Yeah, they're also meeting today. I believe Mark Warner is trying to kind of wrangle some support to call on Biden to drop out. And, Murray of Washington says Biden needs to show Americans he can capably run for re-election at this critical moment. Well, that's about the most hilarious thing you could possibly say. As we can see, his campaign has been nothing but capable. And, this is only really getting worse. Of course, you have a lot of Democrats saying we need to stay with the status quo. We need to support, the guy that our voters um, supported in the primaries. But this is really getting, in a tight spot for Dems because Trump has been completely silent and kind of historically, you could say uncharacteristically silent on the issue. And it's basically just letting them kind of burn up and just have all this confusion right in front of our very eyes. And so, we can see here again, um, of course, this kind of shows you the opposite side, this article, of some of the discussions. Of course, the meeting was very positive. Of course, um, you even got some liberals, some progressives, and that are saying, you know, yeah, we're supporting him. AOC, he's in this race, and I support him. But then you got people that actually have some sense and know that they are going to go down if Biden is, on the ballot. Tammy Baldwin, who is running in one of the most competitive Senate races this entire cycle, at least in my opinion, said expressions of concern about the president's ability to win the election. And I guess if you're a Democrat in a very close race that may be, dependent on some kind of coattails, now in Wisconsin might be a bit different, but regardless, you're not going to be too happy for your own race. And this is a theme that keeps getting repeated over and over, and I think it's just going to keep snowballing until something comes out. Either they all coalesce behind Biden and kind of give up their kind of internal coup, if you will, or they do legitimately choose to replace him at the DNC. And we'll see what happens. And of course, Biden, this is on NBC, and he said, I'm not leaving. And so they're kind of in a tough spot. I mean, he has basically planted himself in there, probably kind of spurred on by his family and whoever else, kind of Obama or whoever else is pushing him to keep running. And we can say Biden made it clear that he didn't plan to exit the race. Let me say this as clearly as I possibly can. I am running. No one is pushing me out. I'm not leaving. I'm in this race to the end, and we're going to win. And then, of course, his kind of joke of a press secretary said he is absolutely not considering stepping down. So with him only doubling down, Democrats really have, again, a lot of soul searching to do. And this is going to be interesting. I think we need to do what Trump's kind of doing. He's not drawing a ton of attention to this or making fun of, this chaos that the Democrat Party is currently in, but rather, there's kind of this old adage, and I forget exactly how it goes, but it's basically like if your enemy or your opposition, is basically going through all this internal turmoil and kind of self-destructing, let them self-destruct. You don't need to say anything about it. You just let them do it, And this brings us, though, really to the dilemma. If, Biden does, for some reason, get replaced, whether the delegates choose not to back him or whatever, who would they find? Democrats don't have a particularly strong bench because there's some governors, people say Newsom or Whitmer. There's actually been a lot of speculation that it would be Harris. The problem is, and honestly, I would say she's probably their, really their next kind of, I wouldn't say best shot, because I think she'd perform absolutely terrible, worse than Biden in the election. But she is the next logical kind of candidate, being a VP, part of the campaign. And so this is kind of interesting. I really think, and she, of course, has come out, and kind of denied, or not at least spoken to the possibility of her potentially replacing Biden. But the problem is, and you look at some of these people, Shifty Adam Schiff said Biden had to be able to win overwhelmingly, this is on Sunday, or he has to pass the torch to someone who can. And I think everybody deep down in the Democrat Party knows that he's not winning overwhelmingly. He's probably not winning at all as of right now. And he said Harris could very well win overwhelmingly against Trump. The thing is, I got news for people that think that. She would do worse than Biden, probably significantly. I mean, heck, Harris is such an fundamentally flawed candidate. She would probably put states like New York in more competitive kind of nature. And seriously, she is that bad, and she doesn't have an excuse like Biden actually has, mental cognitive failure. She is significantly younger than him and is just prone to these really bizarre and scary gaffes into statements, and she is not all together. And regardless, some polls suggest she'd perform better. She wouldn't. She's not the second coming of Barack Hussein Obama. She would absolutely lose pretty big, at least in my opinion. She has no charisma, just awful. Probably worst VP ever. And we look at Trump's polling numbers, and he is absolutely crushing it. We look at stuff from just yesterday, July 8th, in every state. Trump is up. Some of these he's up bigly. He is up in PA by 5, and of course, some of these have to be taken with a grain of salt, perhaps. But regardless, it is not a great scenario for Democrats. Trump is actually currently up by just over 3 points, which is his highest ever. And we can see, or not, sorry, maybe not the highest ever, but certainly one of the highest ever in this aggregate. And so this is a great sign for Republicans. And, we can't get complacent, obviously. But again, I think it's just one of those things, no matter what happens, we just really have to let them kind of do their business and self-destruct at this point. And it is kind of like a circus to watch, honestly. So I can't wait to see what happens. I think that, honestly, whoever the nominee is, Trump is probably going to do very well in November. Regardless, that's basically it for this one. So thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.